Hello, Josh.
Hey, Jen.
How's Philadelphia?
Cold, colder than you guys, I think.
I'm sorry you couldn't be here.
I'm sorry than you. Yeah, it's a real bummer, but I hope the day's been going well.
It's good to have you here since as the main author of this report to have you here for this part. So let me set this up for you. When we started, Generation Housing started, the number one question we heard from everybody was like, how much housing do we need? Is it 30,000, 75,000, 15,000? Is it RENA, 14-ish thousand? Like, what is it? So first, Josh, question to you, is there some standard way to know how many housing units we need?
Great question. And the answer, conveniently, from a Cal Matters article that just came out, is no. There's no standard way to answer the question about how many housing units a region needs. In fact, the article made the case that depending on how you measure it, depending on what values you assign, and going to get a different number every time, that inconsistency can make a housing conversation pretty darn hard.
So this number is hard, but it's also important, right? We need goals and we want them to be measurable ideally. So we did start with the number in 2021. Our policy director, Jesus Guzman, came up with the number 58,000. And that's a number that we've been using since then. And can you say like how 58K came to be?
Jesus's choice to turn to Spur, which is a think tank in the Bay Area, was a great choice. Spur has a relatively standard, but also innovative way of capturing housing deficits across the country. They look at the number of households that should have formed for a lot of different reasons: people moving into a county, young people moving out of their parents' houses, workers relocating for new jobs, and they compare it to how many people actually did that. And when you apply that to Sonoma County, it turns out we fared pretty poorly. There were about 38,000 fewer households that should have formed here, largely in part to the lack of housing. And if you project that need out to the future, you get about 20,000 more homes that we're going to need, mostly for low-income folks. It puts us at about 58K. And so we've stuck with it for a pretty long time.
So then, as you know, since that number has been released and since all of this news about population decline or stagnation and then even decline, folks have come back to us and say like, okay, like, is this still the number? This can't still be the number. I came to you, you know, that to you and said, okay, we need to check this. We need to make sure that we're right. And so we talked about different ways, and you found two.
So yes, we have a couple of other methods. Again, relatively industry standard, but also kind of innovative in how they make sense of this material. And the first one is based on property value. One way to think about it is that in a normal housing market, the cost of homes are made up between the value of the property itself, like the actual built structure, and also the land. In a normal housing market, land makes up about 20% of that total value. And as you can probably guess, in Sonoma County, land costs are really high. We have very low density of housing in most of the land that's built for residential. The cost of the land's share value is about 33%, so way above that 20% marker. We can bring that share down if we add more homes at slightly greater densities, nothing crazy, but gentle density on the existing land we've got. And so you can run calculations where you figure out roughly how many homes you'd have to add to do that. And we figured out that up to present day, so again, our kind of historical deficit, we need about 34,000 homes to get that land's share of value down to 20%. And that aligns pretty darn closely with the historical shortfall from Jesus's number, which is about 38,000. So it kind of points us again back towards this 58K number for 2030, 2031.
Okay, I love that consistency. When I first heard this number from you guys, I said, are you telling me that my property value is going to go down? And actually, now I totally understand is that you just add property value number is adding the ceiling. So once we get to 40,000 more units today, not future, then that property value is going to shrink to what it should be. And so that's where we tell you is the stopping point. So it has nothing to do with changing someone's property values. It's just the calculation to how we get to the number. So that, which is a relief because I think that would concern some people. Method number 3, talk about that.
So Consumer Affairs comes along and is like, hey, when we look at vacancy rates, we don't mean homes that are used for recreational purposes or second homes or short-term rentals. We really want to look at homes that are for sale or actually for rent. And when you do that calculation, a lot of counties that look pretty well actually turn out to be doing pretty poorly. So the per capita rate of homes that are for sale and for rent right now in Sonoma County is the one of the worst in the state per capita, and the fourth worse among major cities nationwide. You can kind of reverse engineer it, and you can think about the number of homes you would need right now to get us back to a healthy rate. And a healthy vacancy rate is about 5%. Right now, we need about an additional 7,000 more homes than we have available. So we've got about 3,000 for sale or for rent right now. We need to get to that 10,000 mark to give people options and choice, to allow people to move out, to downsize, to upsize, upgrade, anything they need for their budget and their life. And so if we need about 7,000 now, and we know that these homes get occupied relatively quickly, the 90% of multifamily new builds get absorbed within the first year. When you build that out every year, you need between 7,000 and 5,000 new homes each year to kind of keep that healthy vacancy rate up. And lo and behold, it gets us again to 58,000 homes by 2030. No magic here, nothing done, no sleight of hand.
Well, that makes me feel better, right? We checked it. We looked at all these different
I
ways.
feel great.
So we can go with this. And of course, we've made some progress, right? We've built about 6,000 homes. So that brings us down a little over 50. And listen, if we're going to quibble in the 50,000s, then hey, let's get to 48,000 and have an argument about it. Bottom line is we need a whole lot more homes. But talk to me, like, one more question. Do we have the capacity for this number of homes?
Great question. And thankfully, it's one that I do not have to answer. Generation Housing did not come up with these numbers, but we did turn to independent estimates from the Sonoma County Transportation Authority, who surveyed general plans, residential land use, potential changes in boundaries, all that stuff, and made the assessment that our region could accommodate roughly 52,000 new homes.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. All right. Well, I'll take 52. I think this is great. So we're landing on 58. Again, no reprinting, no new graphics. We're there. Congressman Thompson references it all the time. And so it's got to be true. But we've really done our math and checked it. And I appreciate the work on this. And hopefully it helps people understand how we come up with that number. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Jen.
All right. Bye.